Hey guys, DibtheAwesome here to give you another Monster Legends Guides, where we talk about monsters' moves, their kits, all that jazz, who to put up with, all that jazz. Today we are looking at Syphrnus, Syphrnus. I think that's how you say it. Show me if I'm wrong. Uh, Shark guy. Yeah, shark guy. There you go. Hammerhead. I don't care what you call this thing. But Syphrnus. I'm gonna say Syphrnus. Hopefully, I am pronouncing that right. This is a. I think this monster is rather old. I don't know how old though. I'll see it because I know I think he was in with the supervillain thing, or like the superheroes and supervillain. Uh, I'd say he's. I want to say he's mildly aged. Uh, okay, so yeah, he's down here. He's with Luxora. He's Jarud with Jarud and stuff like that. He's. I guess he's. Oh, I guess he's older than Malamar too. It must be not Malamar. Voltic. Which is interesting because maybe he was just an exclusive monster or something like that. But the time of which they were made are vastly apart. But yeah, this guy is somewhat old. He's not too old, but he's just like I'd say middle age. I want to say middle age. I don't think he's like that old. I want to say middle aged. Yeah, we'll go with middle. Yeah, we'll go with middle aged. Uh, so this monster is actually rather decent. His speed is 3,432. He is a denier. I will say that you can kind of use him as an attacker, but he doesn't do all that much damage. Uh, I mean, like his moves. I think those moves are really heavy hitting, but his like power isn't too high. You can use him for that. You can do that. You can use him as an extra guy supporter, or not. I mean, like an extra guy denier. You can do that. You can do a lot. There's a few things you can run with this guy. But we're just going to talk about him as a denier because people use him like a lot as a denier, or people just shove full speed runes on this thing a lot when they use this thing. Some people are actually walking around with higher ranked ones because this guy's been in a lot of breeding events. I will say that this guy has been in a lot of breeding events, and he was part of the superhero maze. That was a thing. But yeah, he is popular amongst a lot of players because of his deny moves. Uh, Granted, though, he is burdened with a really terrible trait. In the trait of attuned. This regains 15 energy when affected by weak points. Weak types. Granted, this is you. I mean, like, granted, it's a terrible ability, but it will pop up more often than not since everybody uses water deniers. This may or may not save you. Depending if like the water monster used a 50% drain on you or something like that. Or like an AOE move, this can save you. This can save partially. You only lose 10 stamina pretty much. If it's like stamina leak, if they hit you with an AOE stamina leak, you get like 15 back. Granted, you have to use a move first, but yeah, if you use a move or then they hit you with an AOE stamina leak that's watertight, you get like 15 energy back. So you're only losing like 10. That's granted that's the only situation. Again, it's not too useful. It just pops up more than most attuned monsters because water is the most common thing in like in team wars and just PvP in general. People walk around with EDs all the time. Uh, but yeah, you do want this thing to be faster than the enemy water denier, and this guy can actually deny the enemy water denier. If he's fast enough, I will say that if he's fast enough, there are a few people that can run faster than him. I think Cavenfish and I don't know. Kalik runs the same speed. Kalik might run the same speed, uh, or I don't know if Cavenfish runs any higher than that. I don't know, but things that run higher than Syphrus are his problem. Syphrnus realm. This deals heavy water damage to all enemies, may make all targets bleed. I'm a huge fan of bleeding. The fact it does water damage isn't too appealing, but you just gotta keep in mind it does bleeding. Bleeding's awesome. Bleeding is a great thing to apply, and it applies to everybody. And things that aren't immune to water are taking 65 just straight up damage. 65 straight up damage. So this is a nice. I will say it's a nice ability. It has a nice status effect. I will say that. Uh, in terms of like Team Wars, this is relatively good for the other stuff. Obviously, not the water monster. I mean, like it applies bleeding to everybody. I will say it's very good for everybody. It is a rather useful ability in the fact it bleeds everything. We're gonna skip. Yeah, we're gonna skip all the all the first group moves. We're gonna go straight to the second skill group. Hammerhead Strike. This deals heavy special damage. May freeze target. Requires no cooldown. This is actually one of the very few water monsters, in fact, that can spam freeze. This is the only one of the very few monsters that can actually spam freeze a monster. I think the only other one would be Najania. I'm just talking like 100% spammable freeze. Mammoth has one, but it's like 50. I think it's like 50%. It's a 50% spammable freeze, but this is 100%. This will for sure freeze. If they're not immune to freeze, this will for sure freeze them. Is granted to the single enemy, but keep in mind he's a denier, so this is valuable. You can spam this on the enemy denier if they're not immune to freeze. This is a relatively good thing to have. Frozen Water deals low water damage to all enemies. May freeze all targets. Requires cooldown. This is his AOE freeze. Do put this on all your Syphrnuses, Syphrnues. Yeah, apply this to all Syphrnues. It's just a relatively good, it's his AOE pretty much. It's his AOE deny. Run this move. Stunning Hammerhead deals heavy water damage. May stun target. Requires cooldown. It's a single target stun and it runs on a single turn cooldown. This is good if you're fighting something against that isn't immune to stun. Use this move instead of Hammerhead. I'm saying you put both of them on, but just situationally, whatever best fits the situation. It's pretty much like H2O Delirious too. I said I don't think he has a spammable. I don't think Delirious doesn't have a spammable Frozen, obviously. But in the sense that he has a single turn stun. I'm just saying he's similar in that he also has he has an AoE. They share the same. Okay, here are similarities between him and H2O and Frostbite and stuff like that. He does run on the same speed as them. He does run a bad trait. He does run a bad trait. They do. Him and H2O have a spammable stun. I think that, and this next move is actually something that could probably relate to him and Frostbite, even though Frostbite doesn't really have this. He has 100%. This guy has wait for it, he's got a 75% stamina drain. This is really great. It's only on a single turn cooldown. This drains a lot. This is a really heavy hitting. I will say if you paired this up with stamina leakers, this works relatively well. It's just a lot of stamina goes away. Just straight up, a lot of it goes. You should run this move. This is great because 75% is a lot. I don't know if it's I would think it's enough to take away the possibility of them using an AOE denier or something like that. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's like 75%. This is a good move. Do put this move on your denying monster. You're denying Syphrnus. Hammerhead Fury. This deals moderate water damage to all enemies. Requires cooldown. This is more so his damage ability. If you're running a damage set, run this move. But if you're not, don't run this move. Please don't run this move if it's a damage set. If it's not a damage set, do not run this move. If it's not a damage set, do not run this move. Shark Attack. This deals heavy water damage. May make target bleed. Requires cooldown. You can run. I will say this is runnable. If you want to give him a bleeding effect, you can run it. But in all honesty, I think this is the set people run in the end. I think they run all of skill groups 2 and Turbo's Drain. This is again for a denier set. We are looking at him as a denier, but you can spread out if you want. This guy can do that. His single target moves are heavy hitting and stuff like that. Excuse me. But yeah, his moves are single target heavy. You can run him as an attacker. That's an option. Granted, you will need a good few strength runes to patch up his strength. It's not gonna have to be too high. He doesn't have like Heyman attack. But he's got it's not like in the 3,400 attack, which is not all that soothing. But it's you can patch it up with a few damage runes. So yeah, what other stuff? Okay, so like for runes, there is a the nice set just full on speed. If you're doing damage though. I usually tell you guys to run a life rune on your damage dealer and stuff like that. I think this guy would actually in this set though, I would actually recommend you run a speed rune. This is the very few times I will say this. I always say run a life rune. Your attacker does not need a speed rune. It just doesn't. Like it needs to like what the thing with attackers is you need to keep them alive. It's just do. People complain about like their attackers dying because they have low base life or something like that. Put a life rune on it for God's sake. Put a life rune on it. It doesn't need a speed rune. But I will say for this one you can run a speed rune. His life is decent enough to not have a life rune on it. I'm saying it is decent enough. I usually tell you this. I usually tell you this. You should totally run a life rune on your attackers, but you don't have to for this one. This one has a lot of too good of deny skills not to have a speed rune on it. So in this one, it is acceptable to have 2 strengths and a speed. I will say that this guy can actually run pretty well on that. Is he? I will say you probably want to put a level 9 speed rune on him. If you do have a level, like a good rune, put a level 9 speed rune on him for your attacking one, because things like Voltic, people spam Voltic all the damn time, and they usually have like at least a level 5 rune on their Voltic. So you obviously won't win the speed war unless your speed rune is relatively higher. I would say at least 7. 7 or 8. A level 7, at least 7 at the least for the speed rune, just so you can outrun the things that, like the other like attackers. Because if you take the time to think about it, like people put like speedruns on their attackers all the damn time. If they all run the same, like if they run level 5 speedruns, which is most players, basically the monster with the biggest base speed wins. Yeah, yeah, you're boned at that point. But yeah, that's why I usually say put a life rune on it. Like if you have more sustainability, you might just very well win the fight, because yeah, you might win. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but you have a higher chance of living through their damage. Yeah, this guy can run a speed rune on his attacking offensive set. I think either or is fine. If you do a life or a speed, but in most cases, I think he would benefit from a speed rune, because his attacks are pretty heavy on denying too. I think it's very beneficial. In terms of this, if people bred a lot of this thing, I imagine them running pretty well. This monster is actually in terms of competitive play, this guy is very valuable in terms of moves. I don't know if he's as broken as like Cavenfish or like. I will say if he's faster than Cavenfish, he might run better. I'm just saying this is a monster that you want you want this guy with the best speed runes, so he outruns all the things, because he is not immune to freezing, he's not immune to deny. I think that's this guy's main problem is he's not immune to deny. He can be denied, and that's his problem. That's the problem with Frostbite. That's the problem with H2O Delirious. That's also kind of the problem with Varuna. He can be denied. Freezing is so common. I know like stun is a valuable, like, immunity stun is great. It's great against like earth monsters, but you gotta understand everybody runs freeze. Everybody uses freeze in their kits. It's just so common of a thing. And being AoE frozen, I mean, like, being frozen sucks. It totally does. That's why I say immunity to freeze is the best thing to be immune to, and sadly this guy doesn't. If this guy had immunity to freeze, you would see this guy all the time. You would see this guy just streaming every fight, because he's immune to freeze. And his single target denies are really great. But he does fall short though of not being immune to a deny, and that's his problem. He's not immune to deny, but he is a phenomenally great. Again, if he's faster than your enemy monster, then you're all right. Then he's good. He'll totally be a great denier. He's probably one of the better ones. If he runs, that is in the case that he is running faster than the enemy. He can be denied though. That is the thing. He can be denied. That's the same with I've said this. I just said that a while ago, like H2O, Frostbite. It's the same situation. He can be denied. That's this guy's only problem. I think this guy's a great monster. I think his only flaw. This is he's got the Achilles heel. We'll say that's the Achilles heel for like most popular like water deniers. That has really good moves and poor traits. That's their Achilles heel. They don't have immunity to freeze, and everything uses freeze. And if there's a monster that's faster than them, then they can be frozen, then they can be denied, and that's not a good thing. It is totally not a good thing at all. That's what most players look into when they go into a fight, is to see if a denier is faster than theirs. Obviously, like, you pick and choose your fights, so Use this guy in situations where you know you'll win the speed war, and the game could very well be yours. This guy, I will say, this guy can possibly save you 3 coins. I will say that this guy can possibly save 3 coins, because his deny is pretty heavy. If you run like another denier monster, yeah, I'd say it's doable. I can imagine it being pretty doable. Uh, Again, it's just too bad nobody runs life roots, and I don't see why. But yeah, nobody runs life roots. This is a good denier. I think this is a pretty awesome monster in my book. Uh, I've said that before already. I've said a lot of things that I've said before. Uh, but yeah, this monster is pretty good. Is he better than like? Is he better than Frostbite? No. Is he better than H2O? An honest answer, he is more than likely better than H2O Delirious, because I will say his deny is a lot stronger. He is better than H2O Delirious. I will say that. Uh, their their trait powers are pretty much the same in terms of like liability and like favoritism and stuff like that. They're just not that too good of ability traits. But in moveset wise, if you have Syphrnus, you probably don't even you more than likely do not even need H2O. This is basically a better H2O. In my opinion, anyway, he's more than likely a better H2O, and he's a better Varuna too. I mean, like he doesn't have obviously he doesn't have stamina leak, but in terms of denier, this guy's better than Varuna. I'm surprised that people that think so don't. But yeah, this guy is basically better Varuna. This guy is a better Varuna. I don't know why people don't use this more than Varuna. It's very interesting. It's very weird. But he is a stronger Varuna. I will say that he's stronger than Varuna. I just don't know why people don't use this more than Varuna. Obviously, like the stamina lick is nice and stuff like that. Like Varuna is a very classic monster, but there's just so many water monsters that just kind of outclass. I mean, like there's in terms of like if you do it like if you're a free to play player and you're running the same rules, obviously like most water monsters are faster than Varuna. Unless you rank him up a bit. I will say if you rank him up a bit, then maybe he might win the war. But then again, you're thinking of the idea that you're fighting a lower level one. But yeah, this monster is really great. I hope you guys enjoy. I actually hope the people that have this monster enjoy this monster. This monster is pretty fun. I bet this monster is pretty fun to use. And yeah, that's all I really have to say about him. I'm DibtheAwesome. I'll catch you guys later.